In a corner of the starry sky, amidst dust invisible to the naked eye, there lay an imperceptible speck of dust. Even the divine sense of a shattered nirvana cultivator could not detect it. Though minuscule, within it, there existed an entire world of its own. The land of demonic spirits, once the celestial spirit heavenly realm, the cave mansion of the immortal Emperor Wang Lin, was located here. Apart from the distant east sea tide, there was no entrance into this speck of dust. At this moment, deep within it, at the very center of the immortal Emperor's cave mansion, stood a grand hall. The hall was entirely purple, exuding an aura of majesty from afar. Inside, 99 candle stands were arranged in a formation on the ground, of which 64 had already extinguished. There were no figures or objects inside the hall, only traces of gray ash scattered across the floor. The remaining 35 candle stands flickered with an unstable flame, casting eerie shadows and adding an ominous presence to the otherwise dim space. At this moment, a wind seemed to blow in from outside the hall, brushing against the lit candle stands. The flames immediately began to flicker violently, with 23 of them trembling the most, as if struggling to stay alight. Yet, the wind was too cold, and as it swept through, countless runes flickered in the air, briefly revealing themselves before vanishing again. In the end, all 23 flames were extinguished one by one. With each extinguishment, the hall grew dimmer, and wisps of cyan smoke rose from the candle stands, vaguely forming a demonic shadow in midair, which let out a silent, crazed laugh. As the smoke dissipated, at the very moment the flames went out, beneath the hall, in a space exactly the same as above, a figure sitting in a grand chair began to tremble violently. Black blood spewed from his mouth and splattered before him. Blood flowed from his 7 orifices, a sight that was chilling. The environment here was identical to the hall above, except that there were no candle stands on the ground. Instead, a massive chair sat in their place, and within it was a man, enveloped in black mist, who suddenly opened his eyes, trembling. His eyes were murky, and had Wang Lin been present, he would have immediately recognized this place as the one that had disrupted his netherworld pathfinding. The mysterious man was the one who had given him the yellow crystal. 23 extinguished. Only 12 remain. Qiu Yao, even in death, you still wish to harm me. Could it be that I truly made you hate me so much? A bitter expression spread across his face, deep and sorrowful. Your rune clan came from the outer realm and sought to ally with my immortal realm. I opened a realm for you, so you could cultivate and rest there. But since your arrival, many immortals have gone missing in the immortal realm. All the signs pointed to your rune clan's involvement. At first, I didn't believe it, but when I went to your rune realm, I witnessed with my own eyes how you took the souls of my immortal realm friends, all to open your rune clan's sacred talismans. How could I not fight against you for such actions? How could Wang Lin not be enraged? If it weren't for this, how would the immortal realm have faced the tragic war after I became the immortal emperor? If not for this, how could the immortal realm have been so severely weakened, allowing it to collapse without any resistance during the subsequent catastrophe? Moreover, the collapse of the immortal realm was part of your plan. The sacred ancestor of the Rune clan, that's just your avatar. Your true identity is the daughter of the outer realm's palm sovereign. Your real purpose in coming to my sealing realm was not what you claimed, but to destroy all the powers here. The bitterness on his face deepened, and in his cloudy eyes, a glint of reminiscence appeared. You became my rune consort, forcing the flower consort to become the flower spirit, only able to exist as a flower immortal, because she learned your secret. I saw it with my own eyes after I began to suspect. After your downfall, you didn't repent, but instead insisted on dragging me to the outer realm to become your father's disciple. As the immortal emperor, supreme in the immortal realm, born in the sealing realm, how could I ever betray? Your eyes contained the primordial force, and when we fought, you used me to awaken it. This primordial force is your father's ultimate weapon to destroy my immortal realm. If it spreads, the immortal realm will be annihilated. Even all the mortals will collapse, turning this so-called sealing realm into a wasteland, allowing you to enter here and search for the so-called gate of ascension. I gouged out your eyes, but your pain could never match mine. Even then, I couldn't bear to kill you. Instead, I sealed you in the immortal burial pool, telling everyone you had died. Do you know the agony in my heart? Qiu Yao, why do you hate me so much? Even now, you would sacrifice your avatar to deceive those I've brought here, using the power of destruction to extinguish my 23 life candles. The man's face twisted in agony, black mist swirling around him, quickly enveloping his face like a demonic shadow, as though seeking to devour him. You have no right to hate me. The remnants of the Rune clan will one day bring disaster to my sealing realm. How can I allow them to live peacefully, leaving endless future troubles for the descendants of my sealing realm? They may exist, but only as eternal slaves to my immortal realm. I keep them alive as a constant reminder for future generations, to never forget the murderous intent of the beings from the outer realm. The black aura on the man's face thickened, gathering intensely at his brow, as if it were trying to break through. But just as the black aura surged forward, 12 glowing dots appeared at his brow, solidly blocking the intrusion. Is there still enough time for me? The man sighed lightly and slowly closed his eyes. At this moment, Wang Lin's gaze was sharp as he looked ahead. He stood on the surface of an endless ocean, stretching out before him with no visible end. The waves rose and fell, unsteady. His body was standing on the water, his expression deep in thought. After triggering the restriction in the flower thicket, he was immediately teleported here. What he saw upon arrival was the vast, blue ocean before him. When I was teleported here, I vaguely saw someone else fall into the flower thicket as well, not far from me. This person emanated a demonic aura. There's something familiar about her. In the silence, Wang Lin's expression shifted. Suddenly, he looked up. In the distance, at the edge of the sea, a furious wave rose, like a towering city wall being swept up on the water. Before it even neared, the sound of the roaring waves thundered toward him, causing his ears to ring and making him feel as if, under the force of the waves, he was insignificant. Wang Lin's expression turned grave as he stared at the approaching waves. He stepped back, his body gliding like a cloud. As he retreated, he silently muttered in his heart. The place I landed was only a flower thicket. Even if I triggered the restriction, it shouldn't have led me to the ocean. Wang Lin's eyes flickered as the endless waves rushed toward him, moving at an alarming speed, almost reaching him in the blink of an eye, ready to strike. The impact from the collapse of the immortal burial pool earlier injured my body. Even my primordial spirit was shaken. I need to heal quickly. This strange ocean, being part of the restriction, will surely bring more changes. As the waves approached, the mist of water thickened, spreading like a veil, distorting the view. Looking through it, the scene before him seemed to fracture. The waves roared as they came closer, rising higher with each surge. When they neared Wang Lin, they crashed down like a hammer. In that instant, Wang Lin's eyes flashed with brilliance. His feet pressed against the water, and he immediately sank into the sea, like a lead weight plummeting downward. As his body disappeared, the waves crashed onto the water's surface. A silent, invisible shockwave spread throughout the ocean, raising more surging waves, while the massive wall of water swept across. Wang Lin's body continued to sink, avoiding the shocks of the waves, disregarding the turbulent surface of the sea, heading swiftly for the ocean floor. As he descended, a frown gradually appeared on Wang Lin's face. This is definitely not a real ocean. All this way, I haven't seen a single living creature. And most importantly, Wang Lin paused, his right hand forming a seal as he pointed forward. Immediately, a vortex appeared ahead of him. The vortex began small, but within a few breaths, it rapidly expanded, quickly stretching to 10 zhang, approximately 33 feet, in diameter, pushing the water aside and revealing a dry space in the center. From afar, it looked like a massive bubble. Inside the bubble, Wang Lin raised his right hand and gently grabbed. Instantly, a ball of seawater, about the size of a fist, emerged from the bubble's edge. As the bubble rippled, the ball of water shot toward Wang Lin, landing in his right hand. Holding the water ball, Wang Lin brought it to his nose and sniffed. His gaze immediately sharpened. Just as I suspected, this water has no salty taste. After pondering for a moment, Wang Lin placed the water ball to his lips and licked it. This isn't seawater. His right hand clenched tightly, and the water ball instantly shattered. Wang Lin looked upward, his expression thoughtful, and a faint glimmer of restriction power flashed in his eyes. This is dew. I became very familiar with dew when I relied on the heaven-defying pearl in my early cultivation. I won't be mistaken. This isn't the ocean at all. It's the world of dew on a petal, or perhaps a blade of grass in the flower thicket. Wang Lin's eyes shone with realization. As he looked around, there was a sense of admiration in his expression. Such a powerful restriction technique, transforming a drop of dew into a world, trapping people without them even realizing it. However, after seeing through the illusion, Wang Lin's expression grew even more solemn. Restriction techniques combine both trapping and attacking, and there are rarely any that only focus on trapping. This is the Immortal Emperor's cave mansion. From what I heard from the sacred ancestor of the Rune clan, Qiu Yao, the Immortal Emperor Wang Lin is a ruthless person. A place like this, the restriction is certainly not just to trap people. Wang Lin fell silent, unconsciously glancing at his storage pouch. Before entering, he had clearly seen the crystalline light, split from Wang Lin's split spirit, fly into the yellow crystal in his storage pouch. Seeing Qiu Yao's expression, what she said didn't seem to be false. However, based on my over 1,000 years of experience, one cannot always trust a single perspective when it comes to matters of this world. It is like the distinction between black and white. When seen separately, they are two completely different colors with no resemblance, but when placed together and blended, the result is gray. With Wang Lin's intellect, unless he personally saw something or deduced it himself, he wouldn't fully trust what others said, no matter how convincing. This was something he had accumulated from over 1,000 years of life experience. If it had been back in the days when he wasn't yet a cultivator, or even when he was in the Hung US sect, he might have believed it. Whether true or false, no matter what, this gives me some understanding of Wang Lin. The restriction here must never be allowed to open again. Wang Lin's gaze flickered, cautiously manipulating the bubble surrounding his body, descending slowly toward the ocean floor. After a long time, he reached the seabed. The land there was a dull gray, with a misty, vague feel to it. Wang Lin sat cross-legged on the seafloor, closing his eyes to heal his wounds. Though he was healing, his divine sense remained active, continuously surveying the surroundings within a Tinjiang radius, carefully monitoring any unusual changes. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. On the 8th day, Wang Lin opened his eyes, and as he did, the flames in his eyes flickered briefly. He paused for a moment, and in the quiet depths of the sea, Wang Lin recalled the scenes from his journey into the Immortal Emperor's cave, the unexpected awakening of the vermilion bird, breaking open the bottle realm. His memory froze on the moment when Bei Luo, the ancient demon, appeared, holding a scroll in his right hand. That must be the desert solitary smoke painting in the rivers and mountains painting. The vermilion bird awakened at the wrong time. I didn't expect that the vermilion bird's awakening would send its cry across 99 realms, making everyone aware of it. As a result, they must all think that I am from the Four Saints sect. Looking at Void Master's expression, although there were no obvious clues, Wang Lin couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, like there were pricking needles on his back. Then there was that rustic beauty. Her cultivation was only at the pure nirvana stage. Though she tried to hide it, Wang Lin could still sense a hint of hostility in her gaze. And that person who seemed to be the Kungsu Holy Maiden had the same feeling. This journey to the Immortal Emperor's cave must be approached with even more caution. Otherwise, the awakening of the vermilion bird might bring about a fatal disaster. Wang Lin touched the vermilion bird totem on his body, his expression darkening. He continued to reflect on his encounters at the Immortal Burial Pool and Pagoda Mountain, where his expression changed again. Pagoda Mountain. He was originally one of my immortal guards, but unfortunately, meeting the sacred ancestor of the Rune clan could be considered his destiny. I wonder where he is now, and if he still remembers me from his memories. With a soft sigh, Wang Lin thought of Pagoda Mountain and, naturally, remembered the verdant chi cluster that Qiu Yao had given him. With a thought, Wang Lin raised his right hand. Immediately, green chi spiraled around his arm and condensed in his palm, forming the verdant chi cluster. This cluster wasn't stationary, it continuously spun. After a moment of hesitation, Wang Lin sent a strand of his divine sense directly into the verdant chi cluster. In an instant, it merged into the cluster. Wang Lin's expression shifted, and he frowned as he examined the cluster. His face alternated between surprise, contemplation, and confusion as he examined it closely. After a long time, Wang Lin clenched his right hand, causing the verdant chi cluster to dissipate. This is a withered rune, a type of rune that only the Rune Clan can create. If outsiders wish to use it, they must seek the help of someone from the Rune Clan to activate it. Its power is divided into 4 categories: sealing, shattering, escaping, and unsealing. Wang Lin murmured as he slapped his storage pouch, producing a yellow piece of paper. It was covered in intricate runes, showing signs of age with a slightly faded color. Wang Lin originally had 2 such rune papers, which he obtained from the Luotian star domain. Though he had studied them for a long time, he had never fully understood their effects. The only time he used them was during the battle with the Luotian Yao family. After inspecting the verdant chi cluster, Wang Lin could now confirm that this yellow rune paper was indeed a withered rune. He carefully examined the runes on the paper and, after a moment of thought, bit his left index finger, drawing blood and waving his hand forward. His left hand quickly made the sealing gesture that he had learned from the verdant chi cluster and pressed it against the blood. The blood froze in midair, forming countless small, raised bumps before suddenly bursting into a crimson mist, shooting toward the rune paper. The speed was so fast that it almost instantly reached the paper, merging into it. Wang Lin stared intently at the paper, his gaze unwavering. What he had just performed was a seal to examine the nature of the withered rune, something he had just recently learned. After a while, the rune paper suddenly moved. A black whirlwind appeared on it, moving at such a speed that it instantly caused changes in the surrounding seawater. Within the whirlwind, a shadowy figure resembling a giant rock took form. Its body was entirely black, and its eyes flashed with electric light. The bird swept around the whirlwind once before vanishing along with the storm. This is a dried rune that has already been activated by the Rune Clan. Wang Lin narrowed his eyes, slapped his storage pouch, and immediately a large sword flew out from it. This sword was obtained from one of the 99 domains of the Slaughter Domain realm. Though more than 10 of them had been destroyed, Wang Lin still had many in his storage pouch. Holding the dried rune, Wang Lin didn't hesitate and pressed it onto the large sword. His right hand quickly formed a strange seal, then he pointed upwards. Immediately, the sword trembled violently, a whirlwind appeared on its surface, and in the blink of an eye, it disappeared from its original spot. The speed of its disappearance was so fast that even Wang Lin felt his vision blur for a moment. By the time he regained clarity, the sword had vanished and appeared 10 zhong away. Though the distance wasn't enough to reveal its full speed, it was enough to give Wang Lin a rough idea of its power. So fast. Wang Lin sucked in a cold breath, his eyes fixed on the sword 10 zhong away. The whirlwind on the sword had dissipated, and the rune on the dried paper had slightly dimmed. Such speed. Even at my full strength, I could never reach it. Perhaps it can rival the speed of the glimpse of nirvana, if combined with the shrinking earth technique. A look of excitement appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. At this moment, in a place triggered by a restriction seal, a dense forest lay before him. Gigantic trees, each large enough to require several people to encircle, were scattered everywhere. The sky itself was almost completely blocked by the endless leaves, and only a few beams of sunlight pierced through the gaps in the foliage, resembling rays of light. The ground was covered in rotting leaves, and with each step, the leaves sank deep enough to reach the waist. The decaying smell mixed with the scent of demonic beast skeletons, and one whiff would immediately induce a feeling of nausea. The deeper one went into the forest, the denser the leaves became, and the sunlight grew scarcer, as though it couldn't penetrate this place. The atmosphere grew damp and eerie, surrounding everything. At the deepest point of the forest, in the midst of endless rotting leaves, a man sat cross-legged. The man's body was like a tower, half-naked, with a blood-red rune flickering on his forehead. Surrounding him were the corpses of fierce beasts, and fresh blood dripped from them, filling the air with a bloody stench. What was strange was that the beasts surrounding him had their fur peeled from their foreheads, exposing the bloody flesh beneath. These peeled foreheads were now piled on the man's legs, emitting a faint glow. It was unclear how long had passed before the man slowly opened his eyes. Instantly, two terrifying gazes shot out. His expression was calm as he gazed into the distance, murmuring after a long while. The power of the ancestral sacred talisman. Though I haven't absorbed it all, I've gained much insight into the dried rune technique. But the figure of the previous owner still lingers in my memory, refusing to dissipate. The man sighed silently, closing his eyes again. Far in the depths of the sea, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from the sword, and, with a point of his finger, the sword immediately returned to his hand. He removed the dried rune from it, and stored it back in his storage pouch. With this dried rune, I now have another means to protect myself in a crisis. This technique is indeed marvelous. After leaving this land of demonic spirits, I must find an opportunity to make more. According to the records in the verdant chi cluster, the best material for making dried runes is the fur from the foreheads of fierce beasts. The fiercer the beast, the better its forehead skin is for crafting these runes. The power of the rune is also closely linked to the material used. When peeling the skin, one must use some divine techniques to solidify the beast's soul essence and essence blood in its forehead. Only then can the skin be peeled. Wang Lin murmured to himself, taking a deep breath. He slapped his storage pouch again, and a yellow glow flashed. In his palm, a yellow crystal appeared. Staring at the crystal, Wang Lin's expression grew solemn. If there was one thing in the Immortal Emperor's cave mansion that he couldn't understand, it was this yellow crystal. He could faintly sense a terrifying fluctuation emanating from it, and he dared not probe it with his divine sense. What is the purpose of this item given to me by Qing Lin, if that mysterious figure in the Grand Hall truly was him? Wang Lin stared at the yellow crystal, falling into silence. He vividly remembered the crystalline light from Qing Lin's split spirit merging into this very crystal, but now, no matter how he looked at it, he could discern nothing. It was as if Qing Lin's split spirit had vanished, and everything he had seen after being teleported here was merely an illusion of his. After a long while, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. He chose not to risk probing it with his divine sense, suppressing the thought. He placed the crystal back into his storage pouch. He had a strange feeling that if he were to merge his divine sense with the crystal, something unpredictable and undoubtedly harmful would occur. This feeling was vague and ethereal, purely a sense born from over 1,000 years of cultivation. Now it's time to leave. Wang Lin stood up, and with a single step, he moved like a swimming dragon, soaring upwards. The bubbles around him followed his movements. From the sky, the sea looked like a vast expanse of blue, but beneath the surface, it was pitch black. Yet for Wang Lin, that darkness posed no hindrance. As bubbles rose, the surrounding seawater parted to both sides, clearing a path straight toward the surface. Along the way, Wang Lin's eyes glimmered with the light of divination. Just as he was about to break through the surface, his expression suddenly shifted. Without hesitation, he thrust his hands outward. With a deafening boom, the bubble around him burst. At that instant, a powerful shockwave erupted outward. Under Wang Lin's control, the entire surge surged upward. At that exact moment, the shockwave clashed with something above. The resulting thunderous roar echoed through heaven and earth. Even the sea itself responded. Wang Lin instantly felt an immense pressure slam down from above, compressing the waters around him. His expression turned icy. Rather than charging out, he quickly darted away from the compressed area. From a distance, he looked up, his gaze piercing the water, locking onto the sky above. What he saw was a sky shrouded in thick, demonic aura. The energy twisted and writhed like countless demon dragons. At the center of this maelstrom stood a figure, her body engulfed in demonic aura, her features obscured, but it was faintly discernible, a woman. When Wang Lin had approached the surface moments earlier, he had immediately sensed a surge of divine power coming from above, targeting his location. It was this that made him destroy the bubble. "Wang Lin, come out!" A voice brimming with seething hatred rang out, shaking the heavens and stirring the seas into a frenzy. Towering waves crashed outward in all directions. The moment Wang Lin heard that voice, his eyes narrowed sharply. Yao Shishua. Though he couldn't see her face, the familiarity of her presence, and more so, Her voice left no doubt in his mind. A bitter smile appeared on Wang Lin's face. He sighed inwardly. The entanglement between him and Yao Shishue was complicated. She had once tried to use him, her intentions malicious from the start. She was at fault first, and Wang Lin was no saint. He naturally retaliated. But his cultivation back then was limited, and he had been wary of both the blood soul pill and the blood ancestor. So he had sealed her away with a restriction seal. Though the blood ancestor was an enemy, Wang Lin respected him. Everything the blood ancestor had done was for his daughter. Wang Lin understood that, if anyone tried to harm Wang Ping, he would have done the same. The only difference was, Wang Lin would have wanted to know the truth first. But the blood ancestor never cared about the details. He saw only one thing. Someone had taken his daughter. That alone was enough. Had Wang Lin possessed his current strength back then, the blood ancestor might have approached the situation differently. But back then, Wang Lin wasn't even worth his notice. Even if he had known the full story, even knowing his daughter was the one in the wrong, the blood ancestor likely would have still used his overwhelming power to crush everything, to vent his fury by killing Wang Lin. Wang Lin had once considered returning Yao Shishue, even taking responsibility for her centuries-long imprisonment. As long as the blood ancestor's demands weren't too unreasonable, he would have agreed. After all, he had been far too weak back then. But the blood ancestor never gave him a chance to explain. Things ended in tragedy. Whenever Wang Lin recalled it, he couldn't help but sigh. He had always been clear in matters of gratitude and enmity. His respect for the blood ancestor was genuine. That was why, when he claimed the man's soul essence, he promised him a chance to see Yao Shishue again. Now, here in the land of demonic spirits, Wang Lin had anticipated this encounter. Yet the figure wreathed in rampant demonic aura was so different from the Yao Shishue, he remembered that he hadn't recognized her, until now. Gazing at Yao Shishue in the sky above the sea, Wang Lin's heart welled with emotion. These thoughts flashed through his mind as Yao Shishue's voice thundered in his ears. Wang Lin, come out. Let us end everything between us today. As she shouted, she formed a series of hand seals. In response, the demonic aura surged violently. Countless demon dragons in the sky let out a deafening roar and charged toward the sea. The resulting blast shook the heavens, churning the sea into a furious storm. Towering waves surged outward, and with the demon dragons crashing down, the sea seemed to tear open a massive void. Sighing inwardly, Wang Lin's body blurred like a streak of lightning. He shot out of the water and straight toward the sky. The moment he appeared, Yao Shishue's eyes, hidden within the demonic aura, flared with hatred. The demonic aura around her thickened violently, but she stepped forward, emerging from the swirling mist. And what Wang Lin saw was a woman's face, once beautiful, now marred by scars, an ugly shadow of her former self. The woman's exposed skin was covered in savage scars, each one grotesque and jarring. Just a glance from Wang Lin brought a bitter expression to his face. Vaguely, he seemed to see that cold, stunning figure from long ago, the first time she had appeared before him. Yet, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't reconcile that memory with the woman now standing before him. The rights and wrongs of what happened back then, who can truly say? But now, her father's soul is sealed within my immortal sealing seal, and her body, twisted and scarred for the sake of revenge, has become like this. Was I wrong? Throughout his life, Wang Lin had walked a path guided by a clear conscience toward heaven and earth. Yet now, a faint flicker of conflicted emotions stirred in his heart. Wang Lin, you sealed me, Yao Shishue, for centuries. Though I hated you for it, I've come to terms with it. After all, I plotted against you first. That, I can endure. But my father died because of you. The hatred of losing one's parents is irreconcilable. I can't kill you myself, but someone will. Yao Shishue stared daggers at Wang Lin, her voice trembling with rage. Wang Lin said nothing. To Yao Shishue, he had simply opened a crack in the dam of 1,000 years of slaughter. It was much like that night he'd drunk with Situ Nan, afraid to look back over a millennium of cultivation. Was the path of cultivation worth it? Cultivation, it always demanded a price, and his price had been blood. In over 1,300 years, the number of people who had died by his hand was far too many. So many, in fact, that even Wang Lin could no longer remember them all clearly. Killing wasn't something that brought satisfaction. To him, those years of slaughter had only brought a bone-deep weariness. Yet, in the brutal cultivation world, if you didn't kill, if you didn't resist, you died. In the cycle of killing and being killed, there was no room for hesitation. There was no room at all. Live or die? The choice was often a one-time deal. You treated me this way, I could let that go. But you also harmed my father. Wang Lin, is there really such deep hatred between us? In this cultivation world, scheming against one another is commonplace. I, Yao Shishue, was the one who made the first mistake, but is that mistake punishable by death? Her gaze bore into Wang Lin, filled with flames of hatred that seemed ready to incinerate the very heavens. Her voice was laced with anguish. Wang Lin remained silent, eyes drifting to the horizon of the sea, their light dimmed. You sealed me for hundreds of years and used despicable methods to keep my soul in constant turmoil. Even that, I can forgive because I was the one who erred first. But you shouldn't have killed my father. Her eyes, filled with boundless hatred, shimmered with unshed tears. Wang Lin let out a soft sigh. Over 1,000 years of cultivation had hardened his heart like iron. But even so, he was still human, not a demon. He had his own principles, his own ways of doing things. If others didn't cross him, he would not cross them. But Yao Shishue had, and that touched Wang Lin's bottom line. So she had to die. But because of her father and the blood soul pill, she had to be sealed. And when her father appeared, survival left no room for compromise. Either the blood ancestor died, or Wang Lin did. There was no other choice. From Wang Lin's point of view, he had done nothing wrong. But from Yao Shishue's perspective, her scheme against Wang Lin had already cost her centuries of imprisonment. As she herself said, though she hated him, she understood. They were even now. But the death of her father, how could anyone reason with their parents' killer? Analyze right and wrong. No. As a daughter, no matter the justification, she had to seek revenge. From her perspective, she too had done nothing wrong. All of this, it's karma. Yesterday's cause, today's effect. Step by step, neither she nor I could control or escape it. If she hadn't schemed against me back then, and if I hadn't feared the blood ancestor, then none of it would have happened. But once the cause took root, it couldn't simply vanish. It grew, expanded. For hundreds of years, I've been entangled in it, like spinning lies to cover other lies, the cost always growing. Back then, I hadn't yet grasped the true essence of karma, unaware that I had already become part of it. Later, when the blood ancestor came hunting, I thought it was the consequence of that initial cause. But now I see, the blood ancestor wasn't the outcome. He was part of the cause. The true consequence isn't in the blood ancestor, nor in Yao Shishue's words now, but in my Tao heart. A faint clarity shimmered in Wang Lin's eyes. My karmic concept has never reached completion. No matter how many insights I gain, I still can't fully grasp what karma truly means. I had sensed, long ago, that to master karma, one must unravel all of one's causes and effects. But now I see, that was only part of the truth. Understanding deepened in Wang Lin's gaze. Yao Shishue glared at Wang Lin with venom in her eyes. The more silent he was, the deeper her hatred grew. With a shrill laugh, she formed a hand seal, then pressed her fingertip harshly to the center of her brow without hesitation. Wang Lin, today, let this be the end between us. I, Yao Shishue, will sacrifice my very soul, abandon this body, just to avenge my father. The resentment and hatred in Yao Shishue's expression transformed into an endless hostility, making her appear completely monstrous. The moment her hands made the seal on her forehead, her eyes suddenly lost their gleam, replaced by a chilling demonic flame. Demon Venerable, I, Yao Shishue, am willing to give up the last shred of my sanity and fully surrender my body. But you must promise me. Kill him. Yao Shishue's shrill voice suddenly echoed across the heavens and earth. At the moment her voice rang out, an overwhelming aura of demonic energy exploded from her body. Under the influence of this aura, her appearance instantly changed. Her fingernails elongated rapidly, revealing sharp, cold gleams. Her hair grew wildly, reaching the length of her legs, all drenched in a deep crimson hue. Especially the grotesque scars on her face. They began to twitch as if alive, bizarrely connecting and forming a complex rune. A cold and sinister demonic aura fully erupted from her body, spreading explosively towards the sky. In the blink of an eye, the majority of the sky and earth became shrouded in this demonic energy. This energy was imbued with an icy chill. As it spread, the sea beneath her immediately began to crack with eerie sounds. Half of the ocean was instantly turned into a frozen sea. The seawater on the surface rapidly solidified into ice at a visible speed. Even the surging waves were frozen, resembling ice sculptures. Even the distant walls of waves were sealed in ice, an astonishing sight from afar. As you wish. A cold voice came from Yao Shishua's mouth, like a sudden gust of wind sweeping across the heavens and earth. By offering her body and soul as a sacrifice, she had completely become a vessel for one of the 9 ancient demon spirits. This was the price Yao Shishua paid to take revenge and kill Wang Lin. At this moment, it was no longer Yao Shishua controlling her body. Instead, it was the Wind Demon, one of the 9 ancient demons. The ancient demons were ever-changing. Long ago, they were split into 9 pieces, each possessing independent consciousness. Some sought to reassemble, while others preferred to remain solitary and free. Over the past centuries, Bei Luo had devoured 7 demons, restoring 80% of his power. The remaining 20% was contained within the Wind Demon. Unlike other ancient demon spirits, the Wind Demon never wanted to reunite. Reluctantly choosing a different path, after numerous failed attempts to fuse with others, it ultimately selected Yao Shishua, using her hatred as the catalyst to successfully merge. This fusion was near madness, not a soul seizing, but rather the Wind Demon transferred its memories to Yao Shishua, allowing her to inherit its recollections. Then, it took a tremendous risk, letting its demon body collapse and become a mindless demonic force. By doing so, the Wind Demon abandoned its ancient spirit identity, essentially dying. It died so as not to give Bei Luo any chance to devour it. Even Bei Luo didn't anticipate this. By the time he realized what had happened, it was already too late. The Wind Demon had collapsed. Though Yao Shishua had inherited the Wind Demon's memories, she couldn't unlock all of them. She could only open a portion, absorbing demonic energy. Over the centuries, this energy had condensed to a significant level within her. If she never chose to awaken the complete memories, the Wind Demon would remain dormant for a time. In fact, this was a gamble by the Wind Demon, betting that Yao Shishua, in her pursuit of revenge and stronger power, would be willing to sacrifice everything. Even if it lost the bet, it didn't matter. As Yao Shishua continued to absorb demonic energy, once it reached a critical point, it would automatically trigger the awakening of the memories, making them all accessible. This method, however, no longer counted as the Wind Demon surviving. The true Wind Demon had collapsed and perished. What remained was only its memories. Yao Shishua was merely the vessel for those memories. Once all the memories were unlocked, Yao Shishua's own memories would be consumed. Once not a trace remained, the only memories left in her soul would be those of the Wind Demon. At that point, she would become the new Wind Demon. Faced with this phenomenon, even Bei Luo could only watch helplessly. The demon spirit he wanted was already destroyed, giving up its ancient, revered status and becoming a demon cultivator, not an ancient demon. Now, with the Wind Demon's memories fully awakened by Yao Shishua's obsession with revenge, her memories were rapidly consumed. The only thing that remained was her hatred for Wang Lin, a hatred that even the Wind Demon could not erase, no matter how much it devoured her memories. In the flickering demon shadow, the Wind Demon's eyes gleamed coldly, fixated on Wang Lin. "I won't meddle in your matter with Yao Shishua," the Wind Demon said, licking her lips as her figure slowly retreated. "She awakened my memories, and in doing so, her entire existence has already been devoured by me. From that perspective, I suppose I've done you a favor." As she backed away, the frozen sea beneath her instantly began to thaw. Wisps of cold air rose into the sky and were swiftly absorbed back into her body. At that moment, caution gripped her heart. The cultivator before her radiated danger, especially the aura of his physical form, which nearly made her gasp. Her agreement with Yao Shishua had been a ruse, meant only to trick her into surrendering everything. Even her final words, "as you wish," had been merely to pacify Yao Shishua's spirit before devouring her. Now that everything was complete, the wind demon had no intention of risking herself for someone who had lost all value, especially against this man who gave her such a terrifying feeling. If Yao Shishua's target had been weak, she might have helped kill him on a whim. But this man, he was anything but weak. Besides, her cultivation base was far weaker now than in the past. Taking risks in such a state was out of the question. This place holds one of the restriction seals of the Immortal Emperor's cave mansion. If it were fully triggered, it would be troublesome for both of us. There's no real enmity between us, so I shall take my leave. As she spoke, she continued backing away. Wang Lin raised his head in silence, his gaze fixed on the retreating wind demon. Her outward appearance still faintly resembled Yao Shishua, but to Wang Lin, she was now a completely different person. Though the soul essence still belonged to Yao Shishua, everything else had changed. A sudden flicker of killing intent flashed in his eyes. He stepped forward. The moment he moved, the wind demon's pupils contracted. Without hesitation, she bolted backward at full speed. She was, after all, the wind demon, her speed far beyond ordinary. Even though she was now just a demon cultivator, her swiftness was still unimaginable. In the blink of an eye, she vanished from sight. Wang Lin remained calm. Without a word, the ancient god cauldron burst forth around him in a flash of light. He pointed forward with his right hand. With a mere thought, a beam of light erupted in the far distance. That light enveloped the fleeing wind demon's body, causing her eyes to widen in shock. Her form flickered, and in the span of a breath, she was forcibly pulled back to Wang Lin's side. Without pause, Wang Lin moved as fluidly as flowing water. The moment she drew near, his right index finger landed squarely between her brows. With a thunderous boom, the wind demon's body was flung backward, spewing a mouthful of blood. Her eyes shone with a chilling, icy light. "My Tao is that of cause and effect," Wang Lin murmured, as if speaking to himself. To truly master the karmic concept, one must not only unravel all self-delusions, but fully immerse in the path. As he spoke, he strode toward the wind demon. With a piercing shriek, she retreated, forming hand seals with both hands. Demonic aura surged violently around her, enveloping the space. The previously thawed sea beneath her refroze with a crackling roar. At her command, the sea shattered for tens of thousands of miles, sending countless ice shards flying at Wang Lin with shrill howls. "Foolish little cultivator. I didn't want to kill you, but you leave me no choice." Her voice echoed as the ice shards, sharp as blades, hurtled toward Wang Lin. In that instant, it seemed the entire world was engulfed by endless ice. The sky and sea vanished behind the storm of shards, all screaming down upon Wang Lin, as if to freeze and obliterate him completely.